On behalf of Group 6, we are greeting everyone a pleasant morning. Be with us in this discussion as we tackle the police planning. To begin the discussion, we want you to rely on this quotation from the Book of War, saying, "Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat." It is a good quotation to base on with regards to the significance of planning, especially in formulating an action. So having a well-founded strategy and tactics is necessary to fulfill the goal of plan, and it is to bring the effectiveness of it. What I mean by this is, it is like a police plan. It must be problem-oriented approach, wherein it enables us to examine the issues internally and externally, because we do believe that it is always the action that's showing the efficacy of a plan, whether it is a successful or not.
Objectives of police plan: to increase the chances of success by focusing on results and not so much on the objectives, to force analytical thinking and evaluation of alternatives for better decisions, to establish a framework for decision making consistent with the goal of the organization, to modify the day-to-day style of operation to future management, and to provide decision making with flexibility.
My name is Pamela J. Manuba and I am your first presenter for today. Our group is tasked to discuss or tackle about the police planning. Before we proceed with police planning, let us first discuss what is a plan. Plan or plano in vernacular language is defined as a detailed proposal or list of specific steps that is created in order to attain a goal or objective. It is also a method or way of doing something for the accomplishment of assignment or mission. And a plan must provide answers to the 5 W's and H: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Done with the definition of the word plan, now let us familiarize ourselves with the word planning. Planning is the process of deciding in advance what is to be done and how it is to be done. It is also the process of developing methods, procedures, preparatory steps, and determination of courses of action that is necessary for an organization in order to attain a goal or objective. In simple words, planning is thinking about the future and what we want in the future. It is all about the anticipation. Now let's proceed with the word police planning. Police planning is incorporated with the word police and planning. In police planning, police administration attempts to anticipate possible problems that might be encountered. And with that, they create and develop recommendations and solutions. Like the organization of the PNP, which is full of resources, especially the human resources. So what they do is that the police admin tries to systematize everything that is available. Of course, for the effective law enforcement and management of the organization itself.
Operational planning. Operational planning, it is the use of rational design or pattern for all departmental undertakings rather than relying on chance in an operation environment. So in operational planning, it is important that you need to think rationally and you need to be wise in your plan. In operational planning, it is also the preparation and development of procedures and techniques in accomplishing each of the primary tasks and functions of an organization. So, in operational planning, dito pumapasok yung paghahanda at pagbuo ng mga pamamaraan. Halimbawa ng technique para ma-solve ang isang problema. Kumbaga, nagpaplano kung paano gagawin ang isang task and pinag-iisipan na itong mabuti. For example, in conducting patrol, kailangan dito ng masusing pagpaplano para ang patrol force shall accomplish the primary responsibility of safeguarding the community through the protection of people. So, dito pumapasok yung mga method, yung procedure, kung paano nga ba ang isang patrol nagkakandak na pagsosolve ng isang problema. Police Operational Planning. It is the act of determining policies and guidelines for police activities and operations and providing controls and safeguards for such activities and operations in the department. So ito naman is pagsasakatuparan o pagsasakilos ng mga activities na kung saan ay makikita natin yung essential ng mga policy. So, for example, in checkpoints, makikita natin na yung mga police is they have the authority to control and safeguard people. In police operational planning, it is essential having policies and guidelines, especially to the law enforcement field, because it serves as a guide in personnel management and functional responsibilities in making decisions for law enforcement action. So, police operational planning is very important because police are handling the proper planning and they are the ones who prepare to have the effectiveness of what is planned. In police operational planning, it may also be the process of formulating coordinated sequence of methodical activities and allocation of resources to the line units of the police organization for the attainment of the mandated objectives or goals. When we say objectives, it is a specific commitment to achieve a measurable result within a specific period of time. So, ang objective when it comes to planning, ito yung mga hakbang na ginagawa ng mga kapulisan para makita yung effectiveness ng, say for example, in enforcing law. Step by step, may mga hakbang na ginagawa para ito ay maging epektibo. Goals are general statement of intention and typically with time horizon, or it is an achievable end state that can be measured or observed. So, in goal of the police planning, ito yung mga bagay na kung saan pinag-iisipan muna. At ito na yung doon na nakapokus yung ating mga ginagawa sa pamamagitan ng mga objectives na accomplish natin yung isang bagay. Say for example, in police operational planning, police are the ones who maintain the peace and order. They also ensure public safety and they are the one who protect lives and properties. In police operational planning, there are 4 processes. It involves strategies or tactics, procedures, or guidelines. First, strategy. Strategy is a broad design or method or a plan to attain a stated goal or objective. So, dito naman sa strategy, pinapakita yung plan of action na kung saan ay makikita yung direction ng isang pagpaplano. Yung para saan nga ba, sino nga ba yung mamamahala. Say for example, in preventing crime, may mga tao na naka-assign para mag-handle ng ganitong problema. May element din ang strategy. Ito yung what are the tasks that need to be done. Second, when it will be done. Third, who is responsible for doing it right. Number 4, what resources needed. And 5, what are the performance or success na makikita sa isang operation.
Tactics are specific design method or course of action to attain a particular objective in consonance with strategy. Ito yung ginagawa ng mga pulis na magtatanong sila sa mga sa kamag-anak ng biktima or kapatid o kaibigan o kaya sa mismong suspect. Itong procedure are sequences of activities to reach a point or to attain what is desired. Ito yung procedure yung ginagawang paggagawa ng tamang task or activities. Halimbawa na lang, may task kayo na pupuntahan nyo yung bahay na isang suspect. Kailangan yung gumawa ng a warrant of arrest para maibintihan siya sa police station. Kasi bagay wala kayong awak na warrant of arrest, pwede kang kasuhan trespassing. Yung policing naman, a course of group which will be a program of action adopted by an individual group, organization, or government or the set of principle on which they are based. Example ng policing. Ito yung make a decision in a dynamic process in which is yung iba-ibang factors ng influence, how, when, and what decision is made and what policy is instituted.
Guideline in planning. One of the 5 W and 1 each. So first is what to do. Mission or objective is kung ano yung krimen or insidente na naganap sa isang lugar, kailangan mong alamin kung ano yung nangyari. Why? Reason or philosophy. So, kung ano yung rason kung bakit nangyari ang isang insidente. When, date, and time. Kung kailan at anong oras nangyari ang isang insidente. When or place. Dito is kung saan nangyari ang isang insidente. 5. Who? People involved. Is kung sino-sino yung mga taong involved sa isang krimen. Last. How? Strategy or method. So, kung ano yung method o strategy na gagamitin upang ma-resolve ang isang krimen.
The police organization are involved in the process of planning with a view to achieve the goals of the organization. So, a plan can be considered as a good plan if it is capable of helping the community in achieving the goals and objectives. So, therefore, there are certain characteristics that should be part of a good police plan. So, first is clear defined objective. The first requirement of a good plan is that it should be based on the objectives that have been clearly defined. As mentioned earlier, the process of planning is used for achieving the goals of the organization. But if these goals have not been defined clearly, it may result in chaos and confusion. So therefore, it is very important that the organizational objectives should be accurate, concise, and definite. Number 2, simplicity, directness, and clarity. It should be able to break it down to the planning. When a plan is clearly stated, the organizational can know easily its significance and easily put into action, which leads to achieving the objectives. Third, planning should be flexible enough to incorporate any changes in the resources if necessary. So therefore, a flexible plan is capable of dealing with these changes and makes adjustments accordingly. It is very important that the plan is broad enough to accommodate any changes that may arise in the future without compromising the main objectives of the plan. 4, the possibility of agreement. So I may say that the plan can only be worth it if it is practically workable and realistic. It should be formulated keeping in view the limitations of planning itself. Next, must provide standard of operation. A plan must lay down the standards to be achieved. It is necessary to ensure that there is a proper coordination between different types of plans, such as short-term and long-term plans. It should fit together to the purpose as well as to the timing of the plan so that the necessary coordination can be achieved. Lastly, the plan should be economical in resources, and the cost that has been incurred by the organization in making and executing the plan needs to be considered for this purpose. It is very important that a good plan is as economical as possible, keeping in view the resources that are able with the organization. So, in other words, a plan must recover its costs and should result in the less operating costs.
Classifications of police plans. There are two classifications of police plans. They according to coverage and according to time. According to coverage, under this is local plans, regional plans, and national plans. Local plans, yung local plan daw sakop niya lang yung isang area. Hindi niya sakop yung iba like Karatig Bayan, it within police precincts, substation, and stations. Local planning authorities must prepare a local plan which sets planning policies in a local authority area. These are very important when deciding planning applications. Local plans must be positively prepared, justified, effective, and consistent with national policy in accordance with Section 20 of the Planning as amended and the National Planning Policy Framework. Regional plans. Sa regional plans, mas malawak yung coverage niya compare sa local. For example, kapag daw may plano yung police region or yung police region 1, ibig sabihin para sa region 1 lang yun. At region 1 lang yung makikinabang dun sa plano. Di pwedeng madama yung police regional office to or the area of region 2. Sa national plans naman, sa kanilang tatlo, siya ang may pinakamalawak na sakop. Example yung PNP chief or PNP chief may plano, so head siya ng Pilipinas. So kapag nagkaroon ng planong yun, syempre ang cover lang nun ay ang Pilipinas. Hindi pwedeng madamay ang ibang country. So it is within the area of one country lang. According to time, police plans are classified as, first one is strategic or long-range plan. It relates to plan which are strategic or long-range in application and it determine the organizational's original goals and strategy. So ito yung pangmatagalang plano. At dahil pangmatagalan nga, matagal din malalabas yung outcome ng plano na yon. Natagal siya ng 5 years or more bago ma-achieve yung goals. So, a strategic plan, these are long-term range plans. So, it allows the organization to adapt into anticipated changes or development a new philosophy or policy model. So, strategic plan talks about those possible changes that will transpire in the nearest future. Strategic plan is long-term. It will may take a decade or take a century. Who knows, but then we try to see that there are possible changes that will happen and we prepare for those changes. So every organization must have a strategic plan for at a decade because things are changing rapidly in these modern days. And before we do not expect cyber criminals, but then there is already individuals before who created much damage. Creating viruses or by hacking a computer system and so on. So those things must be taken into consideration by all organizations, whether you are in law enforcement or health or finances and so on. You must have a strategic plan prepared for the possible changes or the possible events that will happen in the future. Intermediate or medium range plan or master plans, it relates to plans which determine quantity and quality efforts and accomplishments. It refers to the process of determining the contribution on efforts that can make or provide with allocated resources. So, ito yung tumutukoy sa dami ng kalidad na nagawa. Di tulad ng long range na umaabot ng 5 years. So, itong intermediate ay hanggang 2 months to 3 years bago ma-achieve nila yung goals. Example is the 6 PNP Master Plans, the Sandigan Master Plan or Anti-Criminality Master Plan. Second one is the Sandugo Master Plan, the PNP ISO or Master Plan, the Sangyaman Master Plan. This is the PNP Master Plan to help or protect and preserve our environment, cultural properties, and natural resources. The Sangbanat Master Plan, the PNP Master Plan for the campaign against illegal drugs, the Sangingat Master Plan on security preparation, the Saklolo Master Plan on disaster preparedness. The operational or short-range plan or OPLANs refers to the production of plans which determine the schedule of special activity and are applicable from 1 week or less than a year duration. Plans that address immediate need which are specific and how it can be accomplished on time with available allocated resources. So, ito ang may pinakamaiksing oras lang ang magugugol. Nakafocus sila sa paggawa nila ng plano kung paano nila ito ma-achieve kasi nga 1 week or less than a year lang yung time na meron sila. So, itong plan na ito ay tumutugon sa agarang pangailangan kasi nga maunti lang yung duration or yung time nila para magawa yung plano na yon. So, nangangailangan din sila ng agarang resources para sa mga kakailangan nila para maisakatuparan nila yung plano. So, there are examples of OPLANs. The OPLAN Jumbo, the Aviation Security Group Strategic Plans Against Terrorist Attacks. And the second one is the OPLAN Saliko, the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group or CIDG, the Strategic Plan Against Organized Crime Groups. And the third one is the Loy Pagpapala, is the entry point in the conceptualization of the PNP Pastoral Program for the next 5 years with a total human development approach. The OPLAN Disciplina that resulted the apprehension of 110,975 persons, that confiscation of 470 unlawfully gadgets to vehicle and rendering various forms of motorist assistance. And the OPLAN Bantay Dalampasigan that sets for the operational guidelines on the heightened security measures and seaborne security patrol. That's all.
For the continuation of our report, my name is Maria Christian Tegahuman and I will be discussing about the types of plan. So, a while ago, my group mates already discussed what planning is all about. They also tackled the classification of a good plan and the guideline for planning. So, now we have 3 major types of plans. So, these plans help an organization to achieve their goals. So we have operational plans, tactical plans, and procedure or policy plans. So plan commits to individual, departments, and organizations and the resources of each to take specific actions for the future. So always remember that a plan is nonsense if we do not take actions of it. Okay, so first we have procedural or policy plans. So basahin ko lang, a procedural plan deals with procedures that have been outlined and officially adopted by all members of the unit under specified circumstances. So meaning yung procedural plans, it has been stated or we are following standard operating procedures. So basically, procedural plans, it is guidelines for doing those actions. And we also have the policy plans. So yung kanina, we have the procedural plans. It is the guidelines for actions that need to be taken. Dito naman sa policy plans, it is the general plan of actions that serves as a guideline. So magkaiba yun dito kasi sa policy plans, it is a high level of overall plans or ito yung mga acceptable procedures na tinatawag natin. So we also have the examples of procedural and the policy plans. We have field procedures and headquarter procedures and standard operating procedures. Okay. So dun tayo sa field procedures na tinatawag. So when we say field procedures intended to be used in all situations of all kinds shall be outlined as guide to officers and men in the field. So, sino ba yung mga nasa field ng officer? Ano yung mga ginagawa nila? Basically, ito yung kapag nag-read sila, nag-report, nag-investigate, and when they receiving complaints. So, ayun yung field plans. So, the headquarter procedures include the procedures to be followed in the headquarters, usually reflected in the duty manual. And the last, the standard operating procedures for the SOP na tinatawag natin. Okay. Yung SOP kasi ito yung step-by-step instruction. It is indicated na. So, ayun yung number 1 type of plans natin. Number 2 is the operational plans. Dito sa operational plans, we are describing the actions that need to be taken. Dito kasi manpower and equipments are allocated, meaning yung manpower, they are being designated, and then yung mga equipments, they are being distributed na. And then dito din, the statistical analysis is widely used. The last one would be the tactical plans. So yung tactical plans naman, it is the methods of actions that need to be taken. So may mga techniques tayong tinatawag. Sa tactical plans kasi more on emergency types of plan. And then yung mga major accidents dito, it is at the low location. For example, dito yung mga disasters, calamities, and then yung mga hostage taking. So ayun yung tactical plans.
Good day everyone, my report is all about types of plans. This is a continuation of Fiscal Woman Report. Types of plans is administrative or management plans. Those plans that relate to staffing, equipping, supply, and organizing. Ito naman ay yung mga plano na tumutukoy sa kaayusan, katulad ng sa training process ng mga personnel. It helps to how training process kung paano nga ba ang mga personnel ay magkakaroon ng authority to manage. And also, ito din yung pinagpaplanuhan muna nila yung isang task bago nila gawin and bago nila iatas sa mga personnel. Ang ikalima naman yung extra-departmental plans. Those which require action or assistance from person or agencies outside of the department, involves coordination with other agency. Examples are exchange of information on wanted person, known drug syndicate, known organized crime groups, stolen vehicle, etc. Ito naman extra-departmental plans. Ito naman yung humingi sila ng assistance sa other agencies. And nag-involve din dito ng coordination sa ibang ahensya. Katulad ng pag may mga kaso na drug syndicate, nagpapasan sila ng information about sa kasong hinahawakan nila. At lalong-lalong na humingi din sila ng tulong sa other agency like NBI para mas maayos at maging mas madali ang kanilang pagpaprocess ng isang kaso. And also, ito din yung humingi din sila ng assistance sa hindi lang sa NBI, meron din sa ibang agencies like sa PDEA, etc. Ganyan, humingi sila ng ibang assistance and tulong sa other agencies pagka yung kasong hinawa nila is mabigat na, yung malala, ganun.
So, part of the police planning approaches is the hypnotic plan or rational comprehensive approach in other words. So, if we examine this category, we easily recognize that this phase is one of the traditional early approaches that police organization uses. It stated here that it is problem-oriented approach wherein it enables us to know the problem existed internally and externally in a specific plan. So there are 11 steps of this said plan, and the first among the 11 steps is prepare for planning. So the task of planning should be detailed in a work chart that specifies. First, it is what events and actions are necessary. Second, when they must take place. Third, who is to be involved in each action and for how long it takes. And the last, how the various actions will interlock with one another. Second, describe the present situation. So, planning must have a mean for evaluation. Without an accurate beginning of database, there is no reference point on which to formulate success or failure. Third, develop projections and consider alternative future states. So basically, this is the hypothesis making to evaluate the outcomes of specific plan. Projections should be attempt to link the current situation with the future, with keeping in mind the desirable outcomes. It is important for the police executive to project the current situations into the future to determine possible, probable, and desirable future states, while considering the social, legislative, and political trends existing in the community.
Number 4, consider alternative future state. Letter A, what will possibly happen in the future? As we all know, the Christmas season will come soon, and for that reason, a lot of people will go home to their provinces. Letter B, what are the possible changes that can happen in the future? The possible changes are that maybe there will be a lot of people who will travel from Manila to their designated provinces. Number 5, identify and analyze problem. What is the problem? Because of the large number of people returning to the provinces, the police may have difficulty implementing protocols, such as when there are many vehicles and some procedures like asking for some papers, there may be traffic. Letter B, what are the areas that need attention? In this plan, the specific areas that need attention are the provinces, particularly Quezon. Letter C, what are the causes of the problem? The increasing number of people returning to the provinces. People who are not following protocols. Letter D, how serious is the problem? It is very serious because it can affect others' time and health. Number 6, set goals. Letter A, what are the objectives? The objectives are return people to their respective provinces safely and without virus. Have a smooth implementation of protocols. People should properly follow the policy in regards to retaining the provinces. Number 7, identify alternative courses of action. Letter A, what are the possible policies, possible strategies, or possible specific actions that are aimed at eliminating the problem? Having proper police planning will help in eliminating the problem, such as having a quick check on passengers and enforcing the placement of papers in front of vehicle so that officers can easily determine that they are legally returning home. Letter B,
What are the different possible procedures to be followed? There may be procedures that require paperwork to prove that the passengers or drivers of a vehicle are legitimately in good health and coming from an area that is prohibited from leaving or traveling so as to ensure that their destination does not get a virus from them. Thank you.
Select the first alternatives. After we identify the alternative action, we are preparing for the selected policies that we may use as an alternative plan, the strategy, and also the specific action to be followed. Plan for implementation. Of course, plan is not just a plan. It is in need of an evaluation and improvement of the person who are responsible for the implementation. Implement plan. The actual execution of the plan it contains of objectives and goals. Never forget the objectives and goals. Should the people involved in this plan shall acknowledge the goal and perform it well. Monitor and evaluate progress. The final step of the synoptic planning.
Therefore, we conclude that police planning holds many benefits in the core of criminal justice organization. It can help an agency to identify and anticipate key trends and issues facing the organization both currently and in the future. The planning process also explores operations, sets directions, and helps community in executing an appropriate decision.